KI fucked up again. Let's talk about it. Before I get started with today's video, I just want to say a few things. Number one, I just want to explain this video is actually a little bit late, and the reason for that is because, well, I was studying for my midterms, and that basically took up most of my time. I wanted to focus mostly on my midterms. I'll be doing that pretty constantly as well, because these are my last few years in my community college until I actually transfer and probably go for like a master's or a PhD in a university that I want to go to, which I haven't necessarily 100% decided yet. But I do have an idea as to where I want to go, and I just want to do well in these final few years that I have, like basically like a year and a half, give or take. But pretty much, you know, that's kind of the reason why I uploaded this video specifically very late, and you know, I just didn't really want to make one because it was just going to take up my time for studying. The second thing I also want to point out is, again, since this video is late, this is actually after, once it's uploaded, it's going to be after the KI live. And I just want to say, really good job to both Magnetic and also Ratbeard for communicating as much as they can with the community in order to, you know, hear the issues that we have for PvP. I also want to thank all the members within the Wizard101 community, especially the PvP community, for addressing these issues as well. To those developers and just like basically everyone in general who was just addressing their concerns, everyone who basically tried doing it in a respectful manner. You know, again, thank you for all the interactions. I think that they did a really good job in addressing the issues on the live stream, and pretty much all that's left at this point is to wait to see their execution. I know some people might be a little bit more skeptical about, you know, KI's promises for PvP. At the same time though, we gotta stay hopeful, and obviously we have to be patient. Even though we've been waiting for 10 years, we still have to be patient, because obviously this is not going to be fixed overnight. And also, you know, at least they're aware of the issues, and at least they're communicating with us. So pretty much in the end of the day, we just have to wait to see the execution before we actually give a 100% judge on their plans for PvP. So today we're going to be talking about the issues with the Spellemental Skyvern pack, not specifically the pack itself, but let me know if you guys want to see a pack review on both the Druids pack and the Spellemental packs. I know it's been a while since I've done the pack review, so if you guys want to see that, let me know. I'll definitely make one, because obviously I like making these type of videos, not only because, you know, I like doing the meme intros, but also because I like to give information for those who not only probably don't want to spend money on packs until they actually get a very well informative opinion about them, but also for those who are probably very new to the game and, you know, would rather not take, you know, chances on something that they probably will regret sometime in the future. And that's what pack reviews generally for. So again, just let me know if you guys want to see that. But today we're not going to be talking about the pack specifically. I'm just going to be talking about the issue I have with the fact that Spellements are becoming a little bit pay to win. Now, like I mentioned before, this actually is a late video for reasons that I already mentioned. But I still think that this is a very important topic to discuss. KI has somewhat recently addressed what they're planning to do with Spellements, which again does bring some positive things, but I also do want to give a little bit of my input. When I first saw this pack, I thought of it as a really bad thing, but a part of me just wasn't surprised, because when I was covering the content that was coming through the catacombs and with the idea of spell writing, one of my fears was that it was going to become a little bit too pay to win, because these will be easily exploited by obviously KI's marketing team. And I was technically right. You know, they eventually added it to packs and pretty much just happened to, you know, go to more than just one pack. It started with the Druids and then went to Spellemental Skyvern's pack. The only reason why Druids, in my opinion, didn't really receive as much backlash though is probably because there already was a pretty viable farming option, and the viable farming option for this one was to just farm the bosses in the catacombs. Specific bosses in Catacombs actually did drop a decent amount of Spellements for both Daybreaker and Nightbringer, and this one was specifically giving Spellements for those two specific sun spells. And not many people really disliked it. People kind of liked the idea that there was a faster way for you to get some sort of Spellements within packs like this. Obviously, it's not something that I should probably rely on 100%, but it was something nice that it could get as an extra compared to just getting like a useless snack, a useless pet, useless housing item that wasn't even a unique housing item specifically meant for the pack, etc, etc. Spellemental Skyvern Pack, on the other hand, unfortunately, there actually is only one viable way to farm, and in my opinion, it's not necessarily as viable, because pretty much people were really mad about this, because obviously we only had Frost Beetle and Leprechaun as the new Spellements. Frost Beetle actually being able to be farmable in the Decathlon. The other one is Leprechaun, which obviously we can assume that this is actually going to be in the Life Decathlon whenever it does drop. But that's where it becomes the problem that I have specifically about the Spellements in general. So when it came to Decathlon, my only problem with the fact that it's farmable in Decathlon, which don't get me wrong, is actually a good thing. I actually mentioned in the video before a while ago when the Decathlon first came out, is that there needs to be more reasons in order to do Decathlon. This actually is a great reason to do Decathlon, was to get Spellements and, you know, get them fairly easy. I've been told that they're alright in drops, and it's actually really nice. It's a nice gesture. You know, obviously they already had something that was fairly useful, which is having very useful TC that you could probably use for PvP in terms of, like, you know, the Storm Decathlon, or actually Myth Decathlon. You were actually able to craft Storm Elf, which actually is very useful in PvP. And, you know, obviously with the Ice Decathlon, you were actually able to craft spells like Firezilla, and, you know, there was also Ashbats, which again was a really good 1-pip spell that does tons of damage. And, you know, those are great. And the fact that now they have, you know, Spellements as another reason to farm Decathlon is definitely something that's really good. My only problem then just lies with the fact of the limited amount of attempts you can actually do the Decathlon, which at max is basically 3. Now, the only problem I have with this is essentially that basically most of the time you're going to probably be doing Decathlon in terms of preparation. And what I mean by that is that you're probably going to be either crafting the best deck in Decathlon possible, you're going to be crafting the best TC possible in order for you to get through the Decathlon, because at first you're going to probably be just fine with TC that you buy in the bazaar, but obviously, you know, during that time, people probably bought all the TC in the bazaar during that time. So basically, the only option you have left is to craft TC with the reagents you get from the Decathlon, which if you're just starting it, it's not really going to be that easy. Not only that, but also having a Maycast pet, in my opinion, is probably the most vital thing, because it can make or break your experience in terms of going through the levels of Decathlon. Now, I understand why they have a limited time of events, you know, like the limited time you can actually do the Decathlon, I mean. You know, to 3, because obviously they wanted to make it to where there's high risk in order to do the Decathlon, and if you tend to do the wrong things and in the Decathlon, obviously you won't be able to get to the rankings as high enough or as fast enough, or in terms of the level of difficulty in the Decathlon, you won't get to like the top of the tower as fast as you probably would if you were to be best well prepared. And this is actually a nice thing in my opinion, but at the same time, the fact that it's limited to just 3 per day, by the way, it does kind of make it a little bit iffy for people to actually have that as a viable way to farm the Decathlon, specifically for Spellements, because most of the time you're probably just going to be preparing for the Decathlon in order to do better in the Decathlon specifically. Doesn't mean that they should, you know, make it easier to do. I think that the Decathlon should be like the way it is. In fact, they should probably make it a little harder so that it's more of a challenge, and then once you beat that challenge, you feel more accomplished. And not only that, but, you know, obviously it rewards you for, you know, playing well in the Decathlon by letting you go higher and higher in the tower. And not only that, but it also gives you access to even more rare or powerful rewards in the Decathlon, like the decks, for example, which are basically extremely amazing. So in my opinion, in order for it to be viable, there definitely needs to be like more chances for the decathlon event, because the reason why is because the way these events work is that there's a, for example, Beast Moon, and then we have a Spiral Showcase, and then afterwards we're going to be having a decathlon and then a Spiral Showcase. So the way this works is that we're going to have one of the two events, afterwards we have a Spiral Showcase, then we have another one of the two events that hasn't really been done during the month, and then we end up with a Spiral Showcase every single month. And the thing with this is that it's pretty much just the fact of how limited it is. You know, I think I mentioned it before already, that like, you know, you only have a week in order to do the decathlon, and it's 3 per week, so therefore you only have like 21 tries. Sounds like a lot, but in reality it's not, because most of the time you'll be doing preparation, and essentially by then it just won't be as viable of a solution in order to get Spellements. Now there has been talk though, which I'm actually really glad, that they're actually planning to make it to where you can actually get Spellements through Beast Moon. You can actually get Spellements through specific bosses. Maybe Lore might be dropping some. Personally, in my opinion, I feel like I have this idea that you can have a key boss to where essentially, you know, call him the Spellement Master, you know, Spellmaster or something like that, and essentially his purpose is to give you Spellements of a specific thing. You know, it could be very random. You know, eventually we're gonna get to the point where we have like pages of just different things we could do for Spellements, and it'll be nice if we were to have a boss that's, you know, specifically well known for this and could give you some sort of like, you know, random Spellements, you know, as basically, because, you know, it's considered as reagents. Obviously it'll give you some other things, but mainly people will farm it for Spellements, because not only is it going to help people, you know, be able to have a more viable option to farm, but it's also probably going to be making gold keys also a little bit more useful. Not saying that it should definitely be a gold keys boss. I feel like it should be something like in terms of like Krampus, because like there's essentially 3 different types of keys that could be done for Krampus. You could do a wooden key for like lower levels, the stone key for like archmage levels basically, and then you have the almighty golden key for like the max levels. And I think that they should kind of have like some sort of range of like, you know, okay, this is how much you can get in Spellements in total, you know, a chance basically. Not like you'll get a guarantee. I feel like you should always get a guarantee Spellement in this boss, but you know, the amount will basically be, you know, it will vary. But like, I think for, you know, let's say for the wooden key one, I think the maximum should be like maybe around 25, maybe even 30 Spellements that you can get in total. The stone one being like you can get like a maximum of maybe 40 Spellements in total, and then the golden one, which basically gives you a maximum of 50 Spellements in total. Obviously these amounts should vary, and it should have like a mid, a low, and a high random amount that you can get through Spellements. Because regardless, either way, we're really going to be farming this for Spellements, and I think they're going to be doing something similar along those lines in order to make something to where there's more options in order to do Spellements, which I hope they do. The thing is that Spellements should never be a thing to where the only way you can actually get these is by paying packs or like paying just any amount of real money in order to get these spells. I feel like it should be accessible towards everyone, because this is KI's compensation of removing TC enchants entirely. Because eventually, what's most likely going to happen is that TC enchants are just going to be removed entirely, and KI is basically compensating that with spell writing. And if you're going to do that, that's fine, but it would be really nice if there was more free-to-play options as ways to obtain these Spellements. And there actually is going to be, luckily, which is why I'm not really being as negative about it. I was kind of negative about it at first, but eventually they did kind of address it. They mentioned that they were actually planning to do it for more things than just Decathlon. They plan doing it for Beast Moon, they plan doing it for bosses, and I'm just very excited to see as to what they plan doing with this. Hopefully they make as much free-to-play options as possible, because Spellements are very powerful. For example, Frost Beetle, you know, gets an increase in damage, either set damage and also accuracy, or you can actually set it to where the accuracy stays the same and it has a possible chance of doing a even more powerful maximum damage, which is actually really nice. Snow Serpent is pretty much kind of similar. Either you go for damage, but this time the other tier is actually going, or set basically is going for the same damage but with utility, which is really good for people who probably like to play with utility. I personally love to play with utility. That's why I like to play Balance of Myth a lot. And it will really suck if somehow, you know, they just decide, okay, we're just gonna make this you know, just premium only, you know, only people who have the money for it. It should definitely just be accessible to everybody, because obviously people need this in order to not improve themselves in PvP, but also improve themselves in PvE. I wasn't really being a little bit too negative with KI about this, because they have addressed this already, that they're actually planning to do a lot more things with spell writing, basically spellements. They're going to have it to where it's in packs, but also they're going to plan to add even more free-to-play options in order to obtain spellements, which is actually really nice, because not only does it make certain events like Beast Moon and Decathlon a little bit more worth the time, but also because Spellements is just really, like, spell writing in general basically is a really cool concept, and in my opinion it's a pretty good compensation of the inevitable future of TC enchant removal. And I'm just hoping for the best. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As always, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and always make sure to turn on your post notifications for anything Wizard101 content or any future content I'll be having. And as always, remember to stay frenzied. Peace!